Welcome to the Real Estate Show. From buying to selling and everything in between. Rochester's home for everything real estate. And now, your hosts from the Anthony Butera team of Keller Williams Realty, Greater Rochester. It's Anthony Butera and Jason Mancuso.
Welcome to episode 97 of the Real Estate Show. We got Anthony and Jason here. Guys, hello.
What up?
So what are you thinking with I guess we're getting closer to fall. Are you feeling good about football happening in any capacity, or?
I don't know, Jason. Empty stadiums?
Yeah, they seem like they're gung-ho. I actually saw a news flash this morning, no tailgating at Bills games or anywhere in New York State.
Okay.
So that's a bummer.
So they still haven't announced if they're doing no fans or anything like that?
I think it's state by state. Like, I know this week came out that Kansas City, for example, is doing 22% capacity. So,
yeah, I saw that's what Alabama's doing for their college football games, 20%.
Are they? So, that's what? You figure 15,000 people for an NFL game, and just 20, 30, depending on the stadium in college. So,
you know what? I'm actually, I'm kind of intrigued by that. Like, I think I'd go to a Bills game if there was only 15,000 people. Right?
You could bring your kids at least.
Yeah, bring your kids. No lines for bathrooms.
Yeah, well, I feel like they haven't really addressed it, right?
Not officially.
Yeah. So, but they seem hell bent. They're doing it. I know colleges all over the board. You got certain big conferences that have already canceled, and everybody else is going forward. So.
There's too much money in the NFL for them not to do it.
Right.
So
I don't know.
Aren't you a season ticket holder?
So no, I stopped a couple of years ago. I stopped.
I was gonna say, what are they? I wonder what they're doing with season ticket holders.
They're reimbursing. I do know that.
Yeah. Well, and I think the writing's on the wall too. That like New York's probably just going to be no go, no fans. Period.
Yeah.
I would assume so.
Yeah, they just opened bowling alleys,
Yeah,
I think they're cramming a bunch of drunk people, maskless drunk people into Ralph Wilson Stadium, Oh, yeah, well, this is an opportunity, though. Could we do Anthony Butera Team Stadium?
Yeah, I could probably.
We could get the naming rights.
I could probably afford the naming rights this year.
The old discount special.
But yeah, tailgating, obviously. You see the stuff that happens in those parking lots. There's butt stuff happening like crazy.
Yeah, I guarantee you somebody's eating a bat.
While COVID actually probably originated in the
started
Buffalo Bills.
In Western New York. It wasn't Wuhan. It was Western New York.
And then somebody went to China the next morning, and here we are.
Nobody circles the wagons.
Yeah,
like the Buffalo.
But everybody at the tailgate is immune to it though, because they're sterile.
Yeah,
they've all had it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fall coming up. What about with real estate? What are we talking about?
Oh God, I hate it, but I'm seeing like pumpkin spice everywhere. I feel like I've heard that it's been rolled out, so we might as well follow the trend and admit that the summer's end is near us, right?
I don't know if you noticed, Mark, but Yankee Candle has all their fall scents out.
I did notice. Yeah.
All right. Good.
Check it out online.
Yeah.
I think we can generally say that in with what's going on in 2020, your guess is as good as mine, but we'll try to apply some logic as to some predictions we can make for the real estate market coming up here in the next few months with summer over.
Yeah, we've learned a lot from the last couple of years to stop making predictions, right? With everything that's been happening, and even through this pandemic, we're still living in the strongest real estate market from a seller standpoint ever for Rochester, right? And to me, I don't think there's going to be, I don't see the values dropping come fall and even winter. And I say that because there will be less listings come fall, come winter. Like, we're at an extremely low level of listing inventory right now, and like this is going to be the most. I mean, people still, even though what's going on, they still want to sell their homes with the nicer weather, right? So like come fall, late fall, come winter, the desire is still going to be really strong, and the inventory is going to be even less. So my question could be, and you could make an argument, is the market even stronger come fall and winter because of the lack of inventory?
In terms of, advantage to the sellers and these multiple offers and bidding wars and stuff.
Yeah, the rate's going to play into that. The economy is going to play into that, right? But like, our local economy is kind of sheltered from what's going on across the country, or at least there's a delay before we feel the impacts.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a valid prediction, just because everything, you go back through the past 96 times we've done this show, and the themes are the same: the interest rate, the inventory shortage being the top two, and there's nothing changing to, for inventory, for example. There's nothing out there coming up saying, okay, here's when all these homes are going to come on the market and here's why.
Yeah.
So that, that kind of leads, if you want to call it the problem, that kind of leads into the problem that we have in this market, where there's just so many buyers and not enough homes to support it. That's the supply and demand factor that we've talked about repeatedly at this point. Interest rate wise, there's, no indicators saying that things are going to spike at all or significantly in the next, call it 3 months. Obviously, the fall we have this election. That's a big news topic, and what happens around that or after that, is going to be very unpredictable and variable. With that said, I think we've touched on it enough to where it's like this low. We're never going to see. I'm putting myself out on a limb, but I feel confident to say we're never going to see an interest rate this low ever again in the history of mankind.
That's a bold statement, Jason.
It's a bold statement. I'm going out there. It's just not sustainable from a macroeconomic perspective. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to go up to 10%, but the powers that be are doing what they're doing now to make sure that shit doesn't totally hit the fan, and eventually they're going to need to make up for it on the back end. And that's gonna translate to little consumer like us. We're talking a 0.2, maybe 3% increase from where it's at now. That leads to that 4 to 6% interest range is probably going to be the frankly a best case scenario at some point. What we don't know, does that happen in November? Does that happen next year? Does it take 3 years for that to occur? So that we're kind of, we're sitting on a little bit of a ticking time bomb here. If you are a buyer, to where, not being a salesman, but as crazy as the what do you call it? The pricing is now for these homes and all the offers that you're competing against, it's still a great time to buy because of that rate. I mean, I did the math with somebody the other day on $100,000 loan. And it's a little funky, but I think I was just playing around quick with a mortgage calculator, and the difference between 3%, which is give or take where you're at now, and for some reason I had 4.3%, which is, keep this in mind, guys, 4 and change of an interest rate is still a great rate. Okay, the difference in that on a $100,000 loan over the course of a 30-year term was $27,000, I believe was the math. Okay, so you do the math, you go up in price range, it's only going up from there. So I guess worst case scenario, if you feel like you've overpaid $27,000 for the house that you're going to be in forever, then okay, it's a wash if you buy it now compared to if you buy it at that 4.3% rate. So don't be fearful of the market out there is the message if you're a buyer. Goes back to the problem of like, all right, there may not be a home for you to buy And I think that's what a lot of people are experiencing. But I think buyers need to change their outlook in terms of, or their mindset around what's going on, to not, be, kind of a common notion that we get put on us is like, I don't want to have to compete against these bidding wars. All right, fine. You can buy a couple of years from now and you're not going to have a bidding war, but you're going to have a higher rate, and that in turn lowers your buying power. All of that rambling tied into this fall preview type of concept is, are people going to take the pedal off the metal? Because I think historically speaking, we see that fall ends up being this, the seasonality effect. A lot of people think it's going to be the dead of winter in February, when it's really not. And we've talked about this before, where like winter, January, February kind of plays into the spring market that we have here seasonality wise. Fall, kids go back to school, got the holidays that roll up quickly. It just ends up being that mental frame of mind where people kind of say, let me cool it for a little bit. And then the holidays end, and it's like January 1st, our activity picks up significantly. COVID day and age. There's a lot of shit going on with kids going back to school, and that whole logistical dilemma that it is. My fear for the fall is that, that causes the slowdown to the market where, like Anthony said, the inventory is probably going to be reduced even further. And that's probably going to be one of the main catalysts to it. And then, could the buyer pool, kind of do the same? Possibly. So if you're the buyer without kids and without those family logistics that I get, like, look, if I were trying to buy a home right now and I had kids in school and, both husband and wife work full-time jobs and are dealing with the logistics around that, I'm probably saying, bag it, we'll figure it out. But again, I just feel like, if you can find a way to, I hate to say, suck it up and take advantage of the interest rate, but that's the conversation to me. So I think this whole topic of what happens moving forward the next 3-6 months, whatever, fall, even into the winter, kind of plays into the unknowns of what we've been dealing with so far this year and where we go from there.
It's going to be different. I feel, for me, like the holidays, everyone kind of does a pause for the holidays. Family gatherings, we've got family in town, we can't really do anything right now. I don't see that happening this Christmas. I don't see people coming into town for the holidays. I don't see large family gatherings, right? So like, I don't know, people may have an abundance of time to get out, and maybe that is the time they want to make the move. So again, for us to play like the, predictor of the market, it's so tough to predict, because look what we've gone through the last 6 months with everything going on right now. It's crazy. So we'll see. But as far as like, if you're a buyer and you're listening, then stop listening. No. If you're a buyer and you're listening, like, don't throw in the towel. It's a dangerous move. Back to what Jason said. You're going to feel like you're overpaying in this market because you're comparing it to the past. And the past may only be a year ago, but the rate was about 0.75 of a point higher a year ago. So like, again, we've said this message before. If you're going to overpay or feel like you're overpaying, I'd rather you have that feeling with a 2.75% interest rate, right? There's a lot of buyers that got a bargain 6 years ago at 6%, and something tells me they've refinanced if they're staying in that house, or they're buying another house to lock in that rate to be in the house that they want. And like, right. The other thing come fall and come winter too is like the behavior of the consumers is going to change, meaning home needs have changed drastically. People are looking for pools and they're looking for finished basements. they're expecting another, again, I don't think anybody feels safe that we're not going to go through this again, or maybe not go through this every year. So they want to be prepared. And a lot more people are working from home now. They may need that extra bedroom for a home office. They may need that finished basement for a home office. So like the functionality of the homes is going to change as the circumstances have changed to us, right?
Yeah.
What so I know we were kind of going through this when things were reopening and closing down and stuff. You know, we're pretty close to almost everything open in some sense at this point, you know, in some way, other than like, I don't know what, we just got gyms. I think movie theaters are like one of the few things left not open, and concerts and stuff. What's it look like going through the home buying and selling process right now? Like, are we at a plateau of what we can expect? Are you able to go into houses right now? What are you guys doing?
Absolutely.
The guidelines are that you can go into houses, got to wear a mask, and you can't have more than 2 people at a time inside the house. So the realtor and 2 buyers. So like the days of bringing your extended family and Uncle Jim and Aunt Mary, like that's not how you're looking at houses anymore. It's no longer a family event. It's the buyer's event.
Yeah. I think Mark describing it as a plateau, I think that's a great kind of way to look at it, just because we've gotten to the point where we're at. Really not a whole heck of a lot has changed since June when, you know, phase 2 we were part of kind of dictated what we could and couldn't do in terms of in-person interaction. You know, until, I don't know, I was going to say until this is over, but you know, how do we know what that really is? And yeah, I think everybody's going to proceed with caution in the industry. And that could just lead to, even when it is quote unquote over, that this is the new way of life, and sellers, you know, widely adapt to say, I don't want Aunt Mary and Uncle Jim in the house with you to making the decision to buy it. You know, figure your shit out, and, you know, we'll go from there. Now, this is also current to the times of being a seller's market. Market shifts to where it's a buyer's market. The way to think about it is right now there's 10 buyers for every 1 home. Seller doesn't have to meet the buyer's, you know, I don't want to say ridiculous demands, but, you know, demands that are outside what the norm is. If there's 10 homes for every 1 buyer, now you as a seller, you know, you got to be more flexible, because that buyer can just say, all right, fine, there's 9 other homes that I'm going to choose from that I like just as much as yours, and go kick rocks.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's current. Everything's current to the times, right? I mean, we're in the times right now where I do think, you know, I think plateauing is a great way to describe the process of what we're doing, and really no end in sight to where that changes.
Is there are you like, what's the process? Are people doing a lot more virtual, like you're virtually going through homes before you even step foot into it, just to kind of narrow it down? And
in a lot of cases, not every case, we're finding that the consumers right now, they really want to get back into the houses, and I get it.
You got to smell the house.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's so true. You have to, right? You can't scratch and sniff a video, unfortunately. Right.
Great idea.
Make it happen.
Yes, come and stop by my office. I got a pillowcase from the house.
Yeah, like a carpet swatch or something.
Yeah.
Smell.
You can swing in and
take
take a whiff.
Make a sniff machine that you can get while you're making a video from the house, and somehow get it through the computer.
So here's what I feel is going to happen when the market does shift. Again, right now, 0 indication that the market's going to shift. I feel like we're going to get way less of a warning. I feel like when it does shift, it's going to shift very, very fast. And it's going to be because of an economic meltdown here. And I feel like that's coming. We're accumulating a lot of debt right now, right? They say it costs $2.2 trillion to run the country for a month. Like, I think we're at about 6 point something trillion that this pandemic has cost us to date, and the bleeding's not over. You have to pay that back somehow, right? So the ability to borrow money is going to get tougher, but when? When are we going to feel the net effects as a country, and when is Rochester going to feel the net effects as a city? So, I mean, that's, when it does shift, I feel like it's going to shift really, really fast. There could be massive, there could be massive unemployment, and consumer confidence is the big thing, because I feel like when I got into the business 8.5, 9 years ago, there wasn't consumer confidence. Rochester wasn't the most stable city. It was pretty daunting. And even if people were pre-qualified, it didn't mean they wanted to buy, because even the people that were working, there was so much less security in the longevity of their jobs and their careers and the industry that they're in. So I feel like we had to get through a lot of that shit to get to where we were before the pandemic, which was a really good, healthy economy. And we're still good. We're still in good shape today until we're not. And when it changes over, it's going to probably happen really quick, and we'll see what happens. We adapt and we improvise, and we find new opportunity within that market.
Now, to paint the optimistic picture here to that, friggin' grim outlook you just had, thanks.
Paint it in blood.
I think, locally here in Rochester, I think, the same way that we've grown will be the same way that we, keep stable. And I don't think we're a market like where 12 years ago, Las Vegas, South Florida, California, you'd lose half your home's value in the matter of a couple months. I'm not saying there's not going to be any corrective measures within the economy, but I think that, the kind of, Rochester is very much, it's I don't want to, it's not like Buffalo or say Pittsburgh where there's, more of that blue collar.
It's less manufacturing. There's more technology.
Yeah. But I do think that the local workforce is savvy enough to try to figure things out, to help spur a recovery whenever that does. There's nothing, it's not like, other than Kodak botching it totally, there's nothing that we're doing on purpose or, with malicious intent or just out of stupidity that's going to cause things to shift. We're just, when the overall economy shifts, it's not like we're a strong enough a market to be, sheltered from that. So I think that mindset that this market has here locally and the people within it will help, dig us out of it quicker than some other markets. And I'm a believer in that. And I think that's why I've gotten to this point. And with that said, I don't think, the house that you bought for $150 this year is going to turn into a $75,000 or even $100 or, even $125,000 home, when this does happen. But, again, playing into that, this grim type of conversation plays into, the timing of now. And I mean, if you're not in a financial position to be buying a home or selling a home, then that's a totally different conversation. But if you're looking to do something and, you're being about the process, about what this market is, you're going to kick yourself come, 5 years from now. I guarantee it. So, just think about the opportunity that you have now. Within opportunity, there's always a set of circumstances that are challenging. And, the opportunity is that interest rate, and the challenge is, the competition and the lack of inventory that causes it. So,
yeah. And if you're a buyer and you're frustrated with the process, trust me, so is your real estate agent. It doesn't mean they're doing a bad job. There's just a bad set of circumstances.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, you can check out AnthonyButteraTeam.com. We got the Real Estate Show tab. Follow us on Facebook. Just search Anthony Butera Team. It'll pop right up. And, subscribe. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to The Real Estate Show. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. If you're looking to sell or buy, talk to the Anthony Butera Team of Keller Williams Realty, Greater Rochester. Visit AnthonyButteraTeam.com.